Fox 61, Connecticut's news station, starts with a weather impact alert.
We continue with a weather impact alert across Connecticut after a messy weekend storm. Our team sent out the alert about snow, ice, freezing rain, and rain creating dangerous conditions and knocking out power to thousands. Good evening and thanks for tuning in for the Fox 61 News at 10. I'm Brent Harden.
And I'm Sarah Sanchez. Our weather impact alert doesn't end there, though. We're tracking rain and some strong winds for tomorrow. Here's the major problem, though. Those winds could cause bigger problems for all the trees and utility wires already weighed down by the ice and the rain.
Yeah, let's take a look at some images now from United Illuminating. Crews have been working around the clock to help clear away downed tree limbs and branches, many of which knocked out power to customers. UI says they were able to restore power to 15,000 customers in a matter of hours. And those restoration efforts continue tonight as United Illuminating is reporting about 3,000 plus customers are without power at this hour. Those outages had been centered primarily in the New Haven area.
And Eversource is reporting about 19,000 plus customers out of power right now. Areas like Bristol, New Milford, Prospect, and Monroe have some of the most outages right now. Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank is here with everything you need to know. Another busy night, Rachel.
Yeah, and it's been an absolute slop fest out there, and I've heard from multiple people today that they would rather get 2 feet of snow than deal with the snow, the ice, and then the rain on top. I've got a little bit of good news, and then we'll talk about the bad news. The storm's over with, maybe a couple additional snowflakes there or a sprinkle in parts of eastern Connecticut, but that is about it. But one thing we are concerned with, there are areas of standing water out there, and now with temperatures dropping below freezing, any big puddles can refreeze into an ice skating rink. So any areas where there is a storm drain, make sure that those are clear because the water needs a place to go. We also have a wind advisory in effect from now until 7 o'clock tomorrow night for gusty winds. You might already be hearing those winds picking up. Gusts could reach as high as 40 to 50 miles an hour. So charge your phones just in case. I'm not expecting widespread outages across the state, but there could be some scattered outages, so better safe than sorry. And some of those winds have already started picking up. We have gusts to about 40 miles an hour for New Haven, also seeing gusts to 40 miles an hour for Torrington, and we just saw a gust to 50 in Danbury, although the winds have come down since then. And we'll continue to keep these winds with us as we head into your President's Day. Taking a look at temperatures, we're starting to drop back below freezing again in Waterbury. We're still above freezing for Hartford, for Chester, for Groton, but as we head through the evening tonight, those temperatures will be tumbling back into the 20s. So you have a little bit more time to clear off that snow before it turns brick hard. Taking a look at your President's Day, it is windy. There's a chance for an isolated snow shower or a few flurries. Watch for areas of black ice overnight and into the day tomorrow. Highs in the 20s to right around 30 degrees. And then we have a colder night ahead for tomorrow night. We could see temperatures dip back into the teens and maybe even some single digits as well. We are closely monitoring the threat for a storm later this week, but the trends have been in our favor. We're going to take a look at that. Your full forecast coming up in just a bit, guys.
Thank you, Rachel. Well, it's been a mess of a day, to say the least, across the state. The worst weather, the layer of snow and then ice blanketing the state. You also had the pouring rain coming down, making things just even worse.
That's what I'm worried about. There's a lot of water out there going into this freezing overnight. Fox 61's Stefan Rios took a tour of Connecticut to see the conditions firsthand, and you won't believe what he came across during his travels.
Whoever was talking about walking in a winter wonderland clearly was not talking about being in Connecticut on Sunday. Just to show you what kind of happened overnight, I'm standing at the Ezra Academy. You can see the tree is completely covered in ice except for maybe a few exposed parts. But that doesn't really show you the half of it. You can hear the ice cracking, and then right up there is where everything snapped. And truly, this is only a fragment of what has gone down across the state. Just a half a mile away in Woodridge, this enormous branch dangled on Lines Road after it buckled under the weight of the ice from overnight, eventually taking a power line in the process and leaving people in the dark. United Illuminating said roughly 200 crew members restored power to most of the 20,000 affected customers. At the same time, an Eversource spokesperson said crews restored power to around 47,000 customers. As for the roads, those came in with their own difficulties. City roads and state highways, they remained mostly clear, but the looming frigid temperatures could cause them to become slick again, especially in areas with puddles. However, the day was not all bad. New Haven PD actually found something that probably was not on anyone's 2025 bingo card. Actually, a seal. So right around here is where our little slippery friend was found, right at the corner of Chapel and East Street. Now, unfortunately, we were unable to snag an interview with our little friend, but the good news is that they should be on their way home. Officials say someone from Mystic Aquarium came by to pick up the seal and take it to a more familiar area. Back here in Hartford, though, Eversource says it's worried about the strong winds that will move through the state on Monday, especially since a lot of the tree limbs and branches were weakened by the ice and winter weather over the weekend, so they could fall a lot more easily. So in case you do see any downed trees, limbs, or branches or power lines, make sure you report those as soon as possible. But for now, in Hartford, Stefan Reels, Fox 61.
All right, Stefan, thank you. Now comes that icy blast of cold air we talked about. Governor Lamont has activated the state's severe cold weather protocol, and it will be in effect all this week. For those who need a shelter or warming center to escape the dangerously cold temperatures ahead, you can dial 211 to find the closest location near you. And if you haven't already done so, you can download the free Fox 61 News app by searching Fox 61 in the App Store on your phone. And there you will find the latest on the winter storm that just hit Connecticut and what lies ahead for the upcoming work and school week, or you can just head over to fox61.com.
Some sad news out of West Haven. Police are still investigating the deaths of a 19-year-old woman and a 2.5-year-old little boy. Yeah, police say it appears both were stabbed numerous times last night. Fox 61's Kay Pattyfoot spoke with neighbors about the deaths.
Neighbors in West Haven we spoke with said hearing of these two deaths was heartbreaking, but they also said they weren't shocked because the Orange Garden apartment complexes are not secure.
We heard, help me, help me. And then all of a sudden it just went dead. You didn't hear anything.
That's how Joanne DeFoche described what she heard Saturday night in her West Haven apartment. DeFoche lives in the building next door on Malloy Road, where police say a teenager and toddler were found dead. When she heard someone scream out, she didn't think anything of it because she says it happens often.
My bedroom is on that side, and I can hear people screaming in the alley every night. So that screaming didn't really dawn on me at all.
According to West Haven police, around 8:50 on Saturday evening, they received several 911 calls reporting screaming and yelling. When they arrived at the apartment at 430 Malloy Road, they found a 19-year-old female and a 2.5-year-old male dead from apparent stab wounds.
And I looked out the window, and there had to be 17 cops, at least 17 cops, and fire engines and ambulances, and the guy that jumped out the window was laying right on the porch, that concrete porch. And they covered him with a white sheet, so I thought he had passed away. But he just got hurt.
Police also got several 911 calls when they say a man jumped through a second-floor glass window and landed on the ground. He was brought to the hospital. One neighbor who did not want to go on camera was beside herself when she heard what happened.
I just felt that I'm so disappointed to hear that a 2-year-old child was involved. That's just the word. I can't. I'm sorry.
For DeFoe, she says this is the last straw and wants out of her lease.
People that don't live here that just meander around, it's not safe. It's supposed to be a secure building. Our door doesn't even close, never mind lock, to get onto our floor.
Police say the suspect in this case is in custody, but they have not released his name yet. We are still waiting for more information, like the victims' names, how they died, and if they had any connection with the suspect. Police say we should get this information in the next few days. In West Haven, Kay Pattyfoot, Fox 61.
U.S. officials are headed to Saudi Arabia for Ukraine-Russia peace talks, but Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky claims Ukraine was not invited and warned his country will not accept the deal made without representation during discussions. Meanwhile, President Trump said today that Ukraine will be involved in talks, and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff was already with Russian President Putin for about 3 hours. Alex Hogan has more from London.
Nearly 3 years after Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, top U.S. and Russian officials are set to meet in Saudi Arabia for peace talks.
We'll be having meetings at the direction of the president, and hopefully we'll make some really good progress with regard to Russia-Ukraine.
The goal of the meeting is to start conversations about finding a permanent end to the war, but political terms are being kept under wraps.
This can't be ended on the battlefield.
Peace is not a noun, it's a verb, it's an action. You have to take concrete steps towards it.
The meeting comes less than a week after President Trump spoke on the phone with Russian President Vladimir Putin, and allies are concerned the White House might be offering concessions to the Kremlin.
The president expressed his desire to see an end to this conflict in a way that was enduring and that protected Ukrainian sovereignty. One phone call does not make peace. One phone call does not solve a war as complex as this one.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Ukraine was not invited to participate in the discussions and will, quote, never accept a peace deal unless Ukraine is at the table.
There is no any leader in the world who can really make a deal with Putin without us.
Nobody, again, knows Russians more than us. We had rounds and rounds of discussions with them.
Yeah.
And we are defending not just Ukraine, but essentially all the civilized countries from this evil.
And that was Alex Hogan reporting. Secretary Rubio and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov have already talked about their governments working together in the future. Well, the Russia-Ukraine war was top of mind today at a ceremony in West Hartford as the new Lithuanian consul to the state of Connecticut was inaugurated. Dr. Dalia Giedrimin was installed as the new consul at St. Joseph University this afternoon. Giedrimin is a tenured medical professor at St. Joseph. The ceremony was attended by a number of Lithuanian diplomats, including that nation's ambassador to the United States and Mexico, Audra Popita. The ambassador told us how much her nation values its alliance with the United States, especially considering the war in Ukraine and Lithuania's own history of occupation by the Soviets.
We know that freedom is not for free. You have to fight, and Ukrainians are fighting. They're fighting for their land and their people, but they're also fighting for all ours, Lithuanians, Americans, and Western values and freedoms as well.
Now, Popita told us February 16th is Lithuania's Independence Day. That date back in 1918 is considered the birth of the modern Lithuanian nation.